Mbaise kwenu, Mbaise mamano. You are on to another edition of Nwere Madu on Onyonyo Mbaise. Today's episode, we are with an illustrious son of Mbaise from Uche. He is a top technology, business, and leadership executive with proven track record of result delivery, 25 years cognate experience, spanning the ICT, oil and gas, banking, and telecom sectors. You're an assuming guy, easygoing, but when you're with him, you know you're with someone full of value, full of substance, always willing to lend a hand, always willing to support intellectually, financially. Is, of course, a traditional title holder in Mbaise. DK Ejagamba Mbaise. Like I said initially, he's from Uche, a top corporate player, a respectable son of Mbaise nation, who always like to maintain a low profile, but today we are bringing him out. There's no hiding place for a golden fish. So join me as I welcome David, listen about David, my big brother, my friend, engineer, Uche, Osuji. There was Hey, finally. A good fish has no hiding place, like they say. Nwere Madu.
Yes.
Nwere Madu. Always sector like I got one Mbaise. In fact, I say any sector you get right now one Mbaise, but also.
Okay.
Like they say, everywhere you get a home in So it's a pleasure, sir.
My pleasure, Mr. Wiz.
From your smart, I have tried to do a bit summary of your personality, your profile. But let us get to know who is Engineer Osuji. At least from your own mouth, at least your background, we'll take it from there. So, let's...
Well, difficult to introduce oneself, okay? Very difficult.
But please do. We want our audience to know who you are, where you're from, how your story started, where you started from. And because one of the things we do is to inspire our youths out there. We've seen, we interview Mbaise role models, mentors, people they can look up to in different fields of endeavor. That's the whole essence of Nwere Madu. So the more you tell them, they also know that they can start from, when you think you are somewhere and you feel that there's somebody somewhere who has connection, sometimes they don't understand that people actually grew through the process and became so that's
I can identify. Yeah. Well, I think you've said it. I'm from Mbaise. Obodoji has Mbaise to be precise. I see myself as a local, a village boy. Born and bred in Mbaise. I schooled in Obodoji for primary and went to Obodo Community School for secondary education and to Futo. So you can see that I'm summarily a local boy. But by sheer privilege and probably providence, hard work, and grace, of course, I've been privileged to touch different parts of sectors of life. And there's no part of the globe that I've not been to. So while I identify myself as a local village boy, grown, I also identify myself as a global citizen.
Yes.
So what that does for me is to, like they will say, think globally, but act locally. It gives me a mind that whatever I see any part of the world, it is therefore possible to bring it home or to replicate it, whether it is in the people, individuals, the way of things, the quality, the sanity of what is being done everywhere in the world. There is no difference. It can be done in our place. As a matter of fact, as a child, one of the probable things that have given me hope and made me to aspire for more is believing that you can export from that local community to anywhere in the world. I used to tell people if we are not that we are writing the same exams, whether it is JAM, WAEC, or meeting globally everywhere, whether it is in Silicon Valley or in China, Hong Kong, and you speak, you would have thought that probably what we learned in the village is not correct. So, if it were that after schooling in the village, you wrote JAM and you failed, But if you write and pass, and you compete with people who went to federal schools, you go to the university, you compete with the best from different schools. You go to Silicon Valley, you compete with the best from everywhere in the world. So it tells you that something is happening in that village. And therefore, it helps us to grow confidence and motivation that from these little cities in the villages, you could compete with anybody in the world. And that has been our strength for me. So moving from my primary school, Bolujishi, to secondary, Dahere, of course, to the university in Futo, and of course, my master's degree in University of Lagos, and different other. I studied electrical electronics engineering with major.
Electrical electronics.
Yes, with major in electronics engineering, and I did my master's in communications engineering, of course, with different other studies and different global institutions. I am to Switzerland, like of course Lagos Business School, severally, mini MBA and the rest of them. But the summary of this is not about study or education or even work. It's about the belief that the small area you are, you can try to do it as good and as best as possible. For me, that opens the whole horizon for you.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, of course, educationally you sound. We don't have to dwell on that. It's evident in your attainment, given your corporate profile. And you were once head of operations of MTN.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the career has also seen me transverse to different areas. I was actually in Airtel before I left Airtel.
Oh, okay, you were in Airtel?
Yes, I was in Airtel. Okay, I left the bank. I was in Standard Trust Bank, left the banking for telecoms services provision, worked in Telnet, also worked in two other organizations, then came to Airtel, then Econet, of course, as an engineer, senior engineer, and I left, after about 10 years as a general manager,
okay,
and went to MTN as a general manager, okay? So in MTN, of course, I established the network performance and quality assurance. I finally ran the national operations of MTN before coming back to it. So I'm seeing myself moving around.
With a personality, any sponsorship, we have what it takes in Mbaise. This is a personality of note. Though I off now, you can't hide again. If life achala. It's a pleasure.
But of course, you also knew our modest efforts in MTN to host the
only want more.
Mbaise, all different things that happened.
Because I can remember 2019.
Exactly.
In a very short time, we were called upon and you responded. I can't forget
much.
that. So we always want that to happen. Being the host of Mbaise, our job is to project the best of Mbaise, tell our story. And of course, we can only tell our story through our people, through those who have conquered their own territory, like you are conquering your own territory. So how has it been moving from MTN down Airtel again?
For me, I mean, I see myself as a professional, right?
Okay.
Just practicing what I'm happy doing. They say there's nothing as good as being paid for a job you love doing. So, I mean, this is what I love doing. This is what I've learned. This is what I studied in the university. So, wherever you are, you practice it. But it's a bit fulfilling also for me in Airtel because this is like a homecoming, okay?
So, what's the position of Airtel now?
I'm presently the vice president and head of operations in Airtel. So this is
vice president, head of operations, Airtel.
So this is like coming back to where we learned a lot and did a lot, and coming back to still see it flourish. So it's a thing of joy to be back to the organization, just like coming back home to be anytime, any day.
When you are good at what you do, you're always going to be in high demand. As simple as that.
Well, I call it God's grace.
Okay, that's modest. Put it modest. Just describe yourself in a few lines. Who is Engineer Uche Osuji?
That's the toughest one. Uche Osuji is just like any other person.
It can't be like me.
Trying to make the best of whatever you touch your hands on. Probably trying to make sure that when the questions are asked, what you said for anything that passed through you, somebody will say, oh, if it has passed through you, maybe there is something that, it has passed through. I like to be that person that if you are in the office, irrespective of the level, from being an engineer, you believe you are not supposed to put your hand on something without adding a value to it. And probably that's it. So people will get to know you in what you do. I'm one of the people that believe that, too much exposure dampens what you would like to do. Okay, so just keep doing what you're doing and keep the exposure somewhere else. And that doesn't stop you from impacting, touching the right points and the right places. And you don't need to be in a haste to really get exposed.
Okay. Fantastic. So if you have a power in one Mbaise, if you have the power to change some things in Mbaise, to make a difference in Mbaise, what would those things be?
A lot can change, and I believe a lot is changing. If you remember the last time we had a discussion during the Irigin piece, which is one of the things I also felt could change, okay, is the too much attachment of ceremonies and functions to political affiliations and political figures. Mbaise is a community, is a nation, should be more driven from value system, cultural system, and not so much attached to political affiliations, so that it can be sustained, okay? Because we know what politics is. We all love politics, it's a way of life, but politics is seasonal and transitional with the people. The cultures remain, they stick, the values remain, the people remain. So business should be built around culture, value systems, people, those things that will never fade. So I think actually when Mbaise, it has nothing to do with your political affiliation, but it means you stand for a value. You cannot be shaken. You're firm in what you do, and you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you cannot be easily cajoled or manipulated into, for the sake of what they call stomach infrastructure.
Fantastic. The Mbaise has become a rallying point as a unifying, festival event that brings Mbaise together, the best of Mbaise. And we are all trying our best to ensure that we grow the festival to keep it at that National Cultural Festival, rank. That's where we ought to be. With the support of people like you in the corporate sector, we will get there. And the stakeholders also have to do their part. So what would be your advice to any Mbaise youth out there, or Mbaise youths out there? You travel to the village, you see some things. I know you must have witnessed some things that perhaps you might just get you worried, and you are disturbed. And you feel like, if I had an opportunity to tell them this, but this is an opportunity to speak to the Mbaise youths in general, apart from those from your community, the extension of Mbaise people, youths in Mbaise and elsewhere. What would you say to them in terms of maybe the land of success?
Okay, well, for me, one of the most troubling things to me, if I were to sleep and feel sad about and can change in Mbaise, is about serenity and security. If you're an Mbaise man, like most of us, grown and brought up at home, your greatest joy is to come back home. That joy, that feeling of coming home, staying, relaxing with your people, the youths will come, elderly men will come, has been taken away, okay? Because of insecurity. Also driven by, lack of proper job and attention for the youths. Those days before, anything happening in the youth, you cannot enter a community and steal without the youths featuring you around, either as vigilante, bring you to Alademba and all the rest of them. Two, we used to have our elder ones we always looked up to that would come home during Christmas, pay your school fees, help in the electricity project or water projects. So there was always something anybody at home would look forward to. We also normally didn't have people who were at home without doing anything, okay? every person in the village, every youth was either in school or learning work. Even our elder ones were either doing one trade or the other. You're either a farmer, a bricklayer, something that was not. So it showed that labor can be virtue. And you cannot be blessed without something in your hands. I think this is one of the key things today, if you get to the village, you will see a whole lot of brothers and sisters or younger ones who you cannot identify with any trade or profession.
Do you think?
And who still believe that they will wake up one morning and be rich, okay? So the concept of labor as a means, the concept of education as a trademark, the concept of holding on to something, nurturing it, growing it, is fast disappearing. And I will advise our brothers, the younger brothers I call them, that you could not build and you cannot build on nothing. There has to be a foundation, there has to be time to grow, and there has to be time to harvest because it has matured, which is one of the key, if I were to advise our younger ones. I mean, delayed gratification helps. Work hard. And education still remains the surest way to elevate self from poverty. Every other method can work, but if you're poor, you're not connected, you don't have the means, the shortest and most assuring way to success remains proper education, due diligence. And education must not mean, going to higher degrees, but at least learning something, putting your mind in what you're doing, and believing that hard work can pay. There's a greater assurance that it will pay, and that will be, one of the key things I would like to drop for our younger ones, especially those at home.
Fantastic. And then be saying you hope you are listening. It's very important. Look for something to do. Get yourself engaged with something meaningful. The time of handouts is over. But do we blame government for this? Do we blame the political, system for this level of joblessness, lack of employment?
There's enough blame to go around, okay? Of course, leadership, they say, is everything. So you can blame government. However, there are now strata of government. There are strata of leadership. And if you take a cue from the study of the Igbo man and his sources, was not to a large extent dependent on the government. We had borehole in my village. I don't think it was from the village. All the transformers we've had in that village, I don't think it was from the government. All the transformers we had in my village were not from the government, particularly. So there was community development. The church was not built by the government. We contribute money to build the school, unlike what happens in Lagos to buy transformers. So while the government has a lot of blame, right? We ourselves, our culture, our systems, those supporting structures that have failed. You can hardly get to any Mbaise nations today without, let me not say you can hardly, but there are so many Mbaise nations today embroiled in fight for who is the traditional ruler. There didn't used to be fight on who is the traditional ruler. It was being selected by the people, and everybody will almost accept because there is something to refer to. Okay, there used to be Aladema, there used to be community development unions that were strong, that could, foster cohesion and bring the people of Mbaise together, the people of our communities together. That seems to be fading away, and there's a lot of political interference and manipulation. So while government can be blamed, the cultural system of our place can be preserved and can help mitigate the impact of the government. And this is where the big natural cultural bodies in Mbaise, whether they are the Zurezus, whatever names, the answer can continue to maintain that cohesion that we need to keep and preserve, the dignity of the Mbaise land and the Mbaise nation.
When I saw from your profile, when I saw Dike Jagamba and Mbaise, I was surprised given your personality. I was wondering, when did this happen? Knowing that you're always a very, you like to keep low profile. And when I saw that, I was, wow. So tell me about Dike Jagamba of Mbaise.
Well, left alone, I wouldn't take any traditional title, as a matter of fact. And I've made several efforts to avoid it. Okay, different places, from my community to different places. But it got somewhere, and some group of traditional rulers in Mbaise decided to, I would say, plan a coup on me, and sought and got different permissions of different people, including the traditional ruler of my place, my other ones, my maternal home, and some notable Mbaise sons who had to speak to me and say, look, what does it take? You already belong to, you do whatever should be done. As a matter of fact, I think I will, without sounding, praising self, I am practically responsible for majority of the telecom installations in Mbaise, and all this we do quietly without knowing.
Okay. I want you to repeat that part because I was about to ask. So I don't put you and this is a company because you do that
exactly
where
they are in different places. So I mean, the best you can do is to bring the best you have to your land. Like I said, I said it in passing. If there's anything that can work in New York, in London, it can work in Mbaise, and it can work in Osuji. I didn't see why I can't be in my village in Osuji and be working as if I joined teleconferences like if I were in London. So those things could come. So while we try to do as much as we could quietly and silently, one, because of the job we do, two, is because of the self-nature, because those things, I mean, it's not a big deal. It was given to you, so if you can give it, why not? It doesn't take anything. So few of our elder ones, our traditional rulers who understood, opted to find a way to compel me to have it, as it were. So I had no choice but to fly in one morning and fly back that same morning to pay respect, because originally I said I wouldn't come, okay? And they had completed until some other respected sons said, okay, you might also be disrespectful if you don't fly in. Okay, if you've shown love for your people, your community from Mbaise, and they want to give you something, and then you say they should be quiet, and it's quiet already. You are not coming, might be.
Because it's quiet for me.
So of course, no picture, nothing.
Picture.
I didn't invite anybody. I just flew with my wife.
Wow.
But of course, my community has sent a delegation from my traditional ruler, my traditional prime minister, who were actually supposed to go and receive it on my behalf. Even then, we were surprised I now finally flew in. So I had to take it. And I think somebody told me something that practically made me to. He said, if you do not, the set of people that would like to take and bear the name might not be the set of people that will be able to represent the institutional culture. Therefore, then the question will be, when you were asked, what did you do? It could be one of the only reference points or some of the references that somebody will say, oh, if that person can take chieftaincy, I can take. So that's probably why we have it, so that we can continue to preserve the culture of our people and our land.
And it's also good to always look at the chieftaincy title taken from merit. People who have done community projects, who have contributed to the community, that this is the only way to reward them, to make them understand we appreciate you for all you do. They might not be able to give you money, but they can say, God, you cannot praise yourself. People might just be telling, but title gives you.
I mean, that's it. When one of our elder, professional colleague, professional elder ones also spoke to me and said, I mean, if anybody had come to your house to say he's going to give you a cow for what you did for them, will you refuse it? So if the only thing the community can come together and do and say, take a chieftaincy title, don't you think I should receive it, with respect? And I look at him, he's also a very, some of them are very high chief, of course. It's high chief.
Speaking with high chief. High chief.
So I had to take it. And we'll try to preserve the honor to that stage.
I see you in your regalia. I think so you need to have a picture. Where is the studio picture?
No, I do have, of course. If you come to my house either in Lagos or in Mbaise, you see my.
But did you have a picture of that? The chieftaincy?
Of course, that's what I'm saying. If you come to my house or to either my Mbaise house or Lagos house, of course, you will see my. That's probably the only thing you will see to know, except somebody tells you, because it's not something you can. But sometimes, depending on where I'm going to. I wear my wristband and I make sure I wear the right traditional one. I don't wear the two ones by chance.
Thank you very much for this interview. I know you're always a busy person, very busy. We're not in your office right now because we have to steer you away from your office. Come down here. It's a pleasure. Like I said, we're always happy when we see people like you doing well in your various field of endeavor, and you're from Mbaise. It's something for our younger ones. You are the role models, and we don't want them to have the wrong role models. We want them to look up to people. They can say, yes, I can look at the profile of Engineer Osuji. People like Stanley Amuchie, quite a number of them out there, whether in the sport, in the entertainment. That is why we are doing this, and we are always happy. So on behalf of Mbaise and the good people of Mbaise.
But I mean, I must interject, and I must also thank you and the crew at Mbaise, starting from Urban Grove. I mean, I'm not.
Now you know that.
I'm not. I mean, I know
from the beginning.
Exactly. So
started from the beginning.
I know a lot of your contributions,
you're right.
A lot of efforts from the football tournaments to different
pageant
to so many things. You know,
pageant.
the pageant, exactly,
pageant
and all the rest of them. So. It's also good to recognize and appreciate such consistency in trying to place Mbaise at the center of attractions. And God willing, your efforts will continue to pay. And Mbaise Nation, and I hope they remember you, and the honor you've done to our community and our nation.
God honor all of us, and He's honoring us already, giving us good health. Most of the time, it's for you to be healthy to see your good work see your legacy come to life. That's the most important thing in life. So, on behalf of Mbaise and the good people of Mbaise Nation, I want to say thank you very much for this time. I appreciate you for being yourself, making Mbaise proud. So, Mbaise. Well, I just have a glass with my brother here, my friend, Engineer Osuji, DK Ejegamba, one of Mbaise. He's Vice President, Head of Operations, Airtel, Nigeria Limited, PLC, right?
Yes, of course.
So, it's a wrap on this episode of Nwere Madu with Engineer Osuji. We want to tell you out there, keep watching Mbaise, keep subscribing to our channel for more interesting and informative content. Mbaise and Mr. Quinn. God bless you.
Nwere Madu, Mr. Broken Down. Nwere Madu, Mr. Broken Down. A bomber second, I have some second, isn't it? This is